Upgrading storage heaters to high heat retention storage heaters can add a good 7 points on the energy performance certificate of a property. Currently, you are unable to let a property that scores 39 or less, and there is talk of raising this minimum to 69 in the future. Gaining 7 points using high heat retention storage heaters is a cost-effective way of increasing those points. This is a great way of meeting our carbon reduction target and making properties more lettable, and if used properly, reducing heating bills for residents. There are a few things that you need to take into account. I will list these in the description. But first of all, we need to know how many storage heaters we're going to have to remove and how many peak rate heaters we're going to remove, panel heaters. And then we're going to need to know how many sockets, peak ones, we need to fit and how many off-peak sockets we need to fit. So to do this, we need to identify what storage heaters we're having to remove. Also, we'll be adding surge protection with or without a new fuse board. The next step is to figure out what size quantums we need. They come in various sizes. The QM150, the QM125, the QM100 and the QM70 and the QM50. These are widths, the numbers, in centimetres, so it's quite easy to size them up. And then, does the kitchen and bathroom need a fan, pull cord fan heater? How many plugs and sockets are we going to need? So each current storage heater will have wires going to it. If it has a single wire going to it, it's an XL or an XT. These will, once removed, will need a peak rate supply installed. The CXL, the FXL and the CXT and the modern looking Dimplex Duo have dual supplies, that's peak and off-peak supplies going to them. So that's just a matter of unscrewing them from the wall and replacing them with the new Quantum. No need for extra sockets. And if you're removing a panel heater, you're going to need an off-peak supply. And that off-peak supply will need its own breaker on the new board. So if there's not enough ways on the board, a new board will be needed. This is the type of board that will need changing, as these have fuses and not breakers. As this board needs changing, fitting the surge protector is a lot cheaper. This type of board won't need changing, but it could do if there aren't enough ways. There's supposed to be one way for each storage heater, so count the ways, and if there's more storage heaters than spare ways, then an upgrade will be needed. If the upgrade isn't needed, it will cost more to add the surge protector. As you're in the area, you might as well look at the electric meter. This electric meter is a super deal meter and will incur the resident high running costs. It needs changing to an economy 7. The only way they can do that is to phone up their supplier and request a meter change. This will then do a tariff change for them and make it a lot cheaper. Economy 7 is what's needed. 7 hours of cheap electricity and then day rate for 24 hours a day. This is another common type of super deal meter. Super deal is a tariff by SSE. They're the only people who have it. If you have this type of meter, you won't be able to switch supplies unless you have your meter changed. I'll put the telephone number in for customer services in the description, but the resident needs to arrange this themselves. This is economy 7 meter, not a super deal meter. You can tell because it has 2 rows of numbers. The box on the right hand side is a tele switch, which switches over from peak to off peak. This is another meter, a newer one. It also has a timer clock on it, which instead of using radio waves, it uses a timer to switch over to economy 7. Then there's smart meters. Economy 7 smart meters and single rate smart meters look the same. The only way to tell is to press the buttons and scroll through. It is important to check that there is an economy 7 meter present, otherwise the running costs will be astronomical. Single rate meters aren't compatible with storage heaters. There's a lot of misconception about how economy 7 works, with people saying that if they turn their washing machines on at 3 o'clock in the morning it will save them money. This is incorrect, especially the way that it's wired up. If there are 2 fuse boards, One is live 24 hours a day, that's the day rate, and the other one is only live for 7 hours during the economy 7 period, which is 11:30 at night to 6:30 in the morning. That's normally charged at 10p a kilowatt, while the day is charged at around about 20p a kilowatt. Hot water provision should be provided by a dual immersion. The bottom one is the off-peak night cheap electricity supply. The top one is the peak rate expensive electricity supply. The bottom one heats the whole tank up. When it reaches temperature, it stops heating the tank up. So the bottom one is the one to be left on. The top one is to be left off and only used in emergency if you run out of hot water. As you can see from the top diagram, some hot water storage vessels have a single element but still dual immersion. These will normally be accompanied by something that looks like this. The time switch uses the off-peak hot water, which reaches down to the bottom of the tank, and the dial uses the expensive electricity, which heats the top part of the tank. So even though it has one wire going to it, it uses dual immersion. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button.